The Gospels are not shy in trading in the extraordinary throughout Jesus' earthly ministry. He's walking on water, he's multiplying fishes and loaves, and even raising folks from the dead, right? These are all incredible, all amazing. They are all miraculous. However, the original Christmas events, when we stop to reflect on them, are just on a whole different level. Consider this, right? God, very God, the one who literally holds all things into being, was born human in a common manger. God became man. The idea of the incarnation is so big that it almost seems paradoxical. And I think it makes us pause and consider whether or not it's even a coherent thought. I mean, is it even logically possible that God becomes man? Though the notion is certainly difficult, and I think it calls for some serious reflection, I would suggest that the answer is yes, or so it seems to me. To be sure, the idea is as big as it gets. And when we try to grasp all that is involved in the incarnation of Christ, we all too quickly hit the limits of our ability to understand. But being unfathomable is not the same as being logically incoherent. And I don't see any contradictions in the idea of God becoming man. I won't say here a lot about the doctrine of the incarnation. My purpose rather is to challenge us to consider both the bigness and the attractiveness of this idea. The Christmas claim is, to be sure, a major stumbling block for the secular person. The person I have in mind is the one who thinks that the physical universe, as discoverable by science, is all there is. On this view, God and the supernatural are mere holdovers from a pre-scientific, right, perhaps a more superstitious time, and today we should simply just know better. This worldview is known as naturalism. The naturalistic view here believes that there is nothing beyond the natural world. The idea of there being a supernatural being is really sort of ruled out from the start. So this view is, in a way, automatically atheistic. Thus, the idea of a miracle, I mean any miracle, sounds to secular ears like a fairy tale or a myth. Now, so far, this really isn't an objection to the miraculous. To affirm naturalism, have an ultra-high view of science, and then say that Christian theism therefore is false or a fairy tale is not much of an argument. The naturalist would need to say why naturalism best explains the world as we find it. The problem is that there are a variety of features of the world that go unexplained on the thesis of naturalism. These include the universe itself. Right? Why is there a universe to begin with? The fine-tuning of the universe, things like moral facts, the facts of human consciousness. The naturalist can tell me what my typical brain chemistry is when I'm experiencing, say, something like overwhelming love for my wife and my children. However, this doesn't seem to be what it is to be in love, to be deeply in love with another. It seems to many of us that our rich human experiences themselves constitute prime counterexamples to the naturalist worldview. I find it far more interesting to think of a world that includes a virgin birth and the God-man and the incarnation of God himself, right? This is an enchanted world. It's a world with purpose and meaning. It's a world where caring for someone means something beyond the warm fuzzies that it produces. It's a world where fighting the good fight, wherever we find it, may have eternal significance. It's a world that offers genuine hope. Ultimately, love itself is an otherworldly value, and here's the thing. Love was born in a manger. It was out of love for you that God took on flesh, for God so loved you, along with the rest of the world, to the extent that he gave his one and only Son. This is big. It appears virtually incomprehensible, but it is so very good and provides us with an unstoppable hope. Let me be clear, I'm not here providing arguments for these things. That's a much longer conversation, and a conversation I would love to be part of. I'm simply pointing out the attractiveness and the bigness of these claims. I think we should want them to be true, and it's worth seeing how they change our lives if they were to be true. Given the bigness of these claims, I really don't blame a person for doubting them. I know I have along the way, right? But I've come to believe them. I've come to give my life to them. I believe the Christmas story as presented in the Gospels. Now, how can I believe these things in our contemporary age? Well, it's because on the basis of a variety of compelling evidences, I believe in a supernaturally big God. In fact, I believe that God is so big, he's greater than we can even conceive. He's bigger than any box we have to put him in. But if this is right, God as such can't not exist. He is, in a sense, too big for that. Now, if God as such created, then this automatically clears the way for believing in the unusual and the extraordinary and even the miraculous. In fact, given a belief in a supernatural God, we shouldn't be put off by extraordinary claims. We should really expect them. The Christian gospel is a set of big claims, perhaps the biggest claims ever made, and perhaps the biggest claims that could ever be made. God, very God, became man. He came near and he dwelt among us. While the Christian gospel calls to be wrestled with, and it might ultimately sit intellectually uneasy with us, at the end of the day, to my mind, the gospel is beautiful, and I have come to rest comfortable in the hope that it provides.